We've heard rumblings of a blue wave in 2018, the belief that Democrats will take the U.S. House and more seats in state races and in the Senate. But can the Trump administration opposition really lead to change at the ballot box, especially here in Florida? Here to talk about all that and more and take a deep dive into Florida's voters is Dr. Susan McManus, former professor at USF, now enjoying retirement.
Being a political analyst, of course.
Yes, of course. So not technically retired, but now a political analyst. Thank you so much for joining us. So first thing that you note in the report that I thought was interesting, an increasing share of voters choosing not to register with either party.
Right. It's up to 28% right now, and a lot of that is being driven by younger voters. We saw signs of it in the 2016 presidential race, where it was the younger voters that stayed home that really cost Hillary Clinton winning Florida. They're increasingly alienated by the two-party system. When you think about it, they haven't seen the party system work since their childhood. And they're starting to rise up right now. And the three youngest generations in Florida now make up 52% of our current registered voters. A lot of people don't realize that shift.
Wow.
So right now, the fight is in the primary. You know, we've got both parties with very competitive gubernatorial primaries for the first time in a very long time. But once we get through this contentious primary system, both parties have to suddenly pivot and try to rein in a portion of this NPA, no party affiliation vote.
And very competitive, obviously, because no incumbent in the race. You mentioned also in the report that our primary is very late. It's August 28th. Why?
We've just had that way. It's statutory, it's in law, but what it does, when we're talking about this new rising younger demographic, after all, millennials are now a larger generation than baby boomers, but the challenge for people who are running in the primary is college students are energized by other college students, and they won't be back at school very long, enough to really gain peer pressure and traction. So the candidates that are trying to really ramp up young voter turnout in the primary are really going to have a very difficult time. And this late primary is also a difficult thing in reaching Florida voters anyway over the summer. Think about it. How many people love politics in the summer in Florida? It's the hardest season ever. We have very low turnout typically. And yet we have highly competitive races that are very important, all the way from local races up to the U.S. Senate.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you about that as well. Some of the graphs in your research are fascinating, especially low turnout for primaries. It's way lower now, 54% in 1958, down to 18% in 2014. Why do you think that is, and how does that affect what people are talking about, this possible blue wave?
Well, a lot of it is driven by, we've had such an influx of people into Florida. 2/3 of people who live here were not born here. I'm an exception. I was born in Tampa, actually. But a lot of people come here, they don't really know, and particularly immigrants and that become citizens and whatever, they don't really understand our federal system of government. They don't understand what state and local governments do, which is what midterm elections are primarily about. And part of that also tracks to our civics teaching in high school, which does not, in my judgment, emphasize state and local politics enough. They focus way too much on national, and that explains some of this confusion about this thing called a midterm election.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. Let's talk demographics. You say registered Democrats are more diverse. Over half are persons of color. Nearly 60% are women. 2/3 are just in the three media markets of Tampa, Orlando, and Miami. What stuck out to you about that, and what are some of the other challenges for those candidates?
In terms of the primary, it is interesting that among Democrats, Florida Democrats, there are 18% more registered female voters than males. So women are a pretty big block of voters in the primary, Democratic primary, and women, of course, turn out at a higher rate than men. On the other hand, we have a terrifically competitive governor's race right now with one female candidate, Gwen Graham. And it might be natural to think of, well, she's the woman and there's 18% more Democratic women, but a sizable portion of Florida Democratic females are women of color, and many of the elected black women, Democrats in Florida, have endorsed Gillum. So you see, in a way, race may be important to some women than gender. Again, there's nothing that is set in cement or absolutely textbook in Florida. It's always changing. I say to my students, if you are running for office and you take the demographics from 2 years prior, the last election, in certain parts of our state, and you try to use those same demographics to win this time out,
Yeah,
That's
it's not
how
going to
fast
work.
things change.
Less than a minute with, how about Republicans? What was surprising to you on that side?
The age makeup is absolutely important to recognize. There's a larger, older population, more white, but very high turnout. And particularly interesting, if you look at turnout, is turnout among rural Republicans in the Panhandle, for example, is very, very high. But the swing voters in a Republican general election can often be suburban women, which is really a demographic that people are watching right now in light of the immigration issues and the gun issues, etc.
And they were an important cohort in getting President Trump elected, were they not?
They were, and reversely, Obama in his last election.
Right. Oh, fascinating information. I encourage you to read the entire report. We will post it on WFLA.com. Dr. Susan McManus, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We will be right back